Today I'm going to be showing you stage 3 hand exercises, perfect for that final stage of recovery, using everyday items I found in my junk drawer. Hello everyone, Dr. Scott Thompson here, Doctor of Occupational Therapy and Director of Clinical Services here at Saebo. Today we're going to be talking about hand exercises using everyday items from around your house, like these things I found in my junk drawer. These exercises are perfect for working on fine motor coordination and boosting the ability to use your hand. So whether you're recovering from surgery, want to regain strength, or want to work on coordination, these exercises are perfect for you. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, click the like button below or leave comments or questions for us. Also, if you don't want to miss any of the videos that we release, please click the subscribe button or click our logo in the corner of the video at any time. Now, let's get started. One household item that many people have is a deck of cards, and these are great for doing different exercises for hand recovery. Let's say you put the stack of cards down. Simple. You can just take a bunch of cards off the top. Now you're working on different types of grasp, moving your fingers, working on dexterity, etc. Repetitive. You're also working on some of the arm positioning as well, simultaneously. Now, if you can't take one card off at a time, then take a couple. To me, as a therapist, I don't care. If your hand's moving, I'm proud of you. Here's another thing you can do. Stack the cards. Try to pick them up off the table. All right, look at how much my hand's moving. Leave them to the edge. Now, they're all in disarray. Got to work on either holding, or you can work on flipping the cards to the side. Speaking of flipping cards, you can take the cards and flip them whatever direction you want. I think this is a game, isn't it? Called Kings or something like that? Anyways, another thing you can do with a deck of cards is you can flip them over once they're on the table. Now sometimes that can be difficult, especially if the cards are slick, but you can flip them over. If you can't flip them over just on top of here, you could sweep it to the edge and flip it. Turn it, flip it. I had one lady that said that while she was waiting for dinner, she would just do this. But by the end of, 10, 15 minutes, she'd done hundreds of repetitions. And that's the point. The more you do, the better you're going to be. Another thing you can do is engage in a card game. So let's say you want to play poker. You're going to be a dealer. Or somebody's going to deal to you. You got to work on picking your cards up. You can practice holding them. Or you can hold them with maybe your unaffected arm and start pulling them off. If you're going to play solitaire, right? If you play solitaire, you're going to have to work on flipping cards over and pulling ones from a stack. Or what is it, 3 at a time? Another thing you can do is sort the cards into different suits. So you're working on a little bit of cognition, you're working on flipping cards over, you're working on arm movement and grasp and sustaining, release, etc. So, start. Queen. Queen of diamonds, cool. Oh, and there's a heart. Another diamond. A spade. A club. And so on. Another thing you can do with a deck of cards is shuffle. And there's no real right or wrong way to shuffle. If you do the 52 card pickup, you're going to be working on finger placement and mixing things up and arm motion. You could do pocket shuffling. Flip it back and forth. You can do the pull from the middle. You can do flip. You could also put them right in the middle. One last thing you can do involving a deck of cards is slide paper clips on and off of them. So if you have a few paper clips sitting around, take one card and work on putting the paper clip on. Smaller you get, the harder it'll be. And then once you fill all this up, slide them off. Another thing that people have lying around the house is a stress ball. They come in different sizes, or they're shaped like humans where you squeeze them and their eyes and ears pop out. Or if you don't have one of those, if you have a dog, you've got tons of dog toys that you can squeeze. Of course, you're going to probably hear the squeaky in them. Dog might come running, but you could use it nonetheless. One of the first things I would do with the stress ball is squeeze it with my hand. Just squeeze with your hand and all your fingers. And if you can do it faster, you'll get great exercise and more reps in. You can also squeeze it doing opposition. Right? In part of hand recovery, opposition is touching your thumb to each tip of another finger. You can do that with a regular stress ball. And you're working different muscles, both intrinsic and extrinsic muscles. So inside the hand and outside. Another thing you can do is practice rolling the ball. Might sound simple, but sometimes simple's good. It's all about the releasing, timing, and dexterity. You could also reverse that and say, I want to stop the ball. And you can do that without looking. Now you're working on sensory and timing too. Of course, I can sort of see it down here. Another thing you can do with a stress ball is flick it. In our earlier stage 2 video, we showed you how to flick coins and cotton balls. And that's usually when you're first starting out because they're light and easy to move. In this stage of recovery, you want to be able to flick this ball hard. We're going to work on velocity. We're going to work on the quickness of movement in your fingers. So you can flick it with your whole hand, or you can flick it with one finger. Nonetheless, give it all you got. Another thing you can do with a stress ball is work on translation, or bringing something into your palm and out of your palm. So you can do it on the table, bring it in, push it out. Another thing you can do with a stress ball is work on manipulating it in your hand. Instead of pushing it out, bringing it in, you want to be able to transfer things around in your hand. So try to spin it. Rotate the other direction. Another thing you can do with a stress ball is play catch with yourself. The point is to make the ball leave your palm. So whether it's a millimeter or it's a foot, the point is you're doing it. And you can go back and forth. Or if you can't really move your hand that well, try to toss it and grab it. One final thing you can do with the stress ball is try to just keep it bouncing on your hand. Another item that people have laying around their house are rubber bands. Rubber bands are on tons of things, fruit, vegetables, whatever. So hopefully you have a few in your junk drawer. One of the first exercises I think about when I get a rubber band is extending my fingers. I wrap it around the tips of each one of my fingers and then open my hand. Close it. Open my hand. And if you want to work individual fingers, you might have to double it up if your rubber band's too small. Open and close. And it doesn't have to be just the index finger. You could do it on your middle finger, or your ring finger, or your pinky finger. Or if doubling up is too tough, find yourself a smaller rubber band. It's a nice skinny one, but it's small. A lot easier. Another exercise you can do is working on flexing and extending your fingers. So, here's one suggestion. Put it on a finger, twist it, hold it to give it some tension off the table, and then push down. Now we're working on flexion. Or, if you want to work on more flexion of the finger, now I'm working on curling my whole hand. You could also do it with all 4 fingers if you'd really like. You can also do it in reverse to extend your finger. Another thing you need to work on your hands is being able to spread your fingers apart. So for this, I thought, all right, what if I take the rubber band and I twist it in between each one of my fingers? So it's woven in my hand. I open and close. Open and close. Another thing you need to do is focus on your thumb. Your thumb moves away from your palm so that you can do opposition, but also away from your index finger so you can shake hands, give a thumbs up, etc. So we need to work the thumb in both directions. This one is palmar abduction. I'm going to put the rubber band on, give it a twist to secure it in place, and then pull my thumb away. And you can do the same thing, give it a twist, put your thumb out, and now pull it into your hand. Or, you've already twisted it, hold it down on the ground, lift your thumb up. Now we're doing radial abduction. Or, hold it in the air and pull your thumb in. Now we're doing radial adduction. Another thing that you might have in your junk drawer are some screws or nuts and bolts. And these come in handy when you need to do a little bit of exercise. You can have big long ones like this, or you can have small skinny ones like this. Nonetheless, you can do these exercises. A big one's going to be a little easier, a small one's going to be a little bit harder, but you can vary it on what you need. One of the easiest things you can do is loosen or tighten a nut. So while holding the nut like this, I can use one finger and tighten the bolt, or loosen the bolt. Another thing you can do is use two fingers in a twisting motion like this. Twist, 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 or on top, like that. You can flick it, you can twist it. Another thing that we all need to work on is our tripod grasp, like holding a pen. So use two fingers and your thumb. That's great coordination, and that's how we hold our silverware, we write, we do several other activities with that. Another thing you can do is take washers, if you have them, and put them onto a screw. So you've got to work on picking them up off the table and then putting it onto the screw or bolt. And then, to make it even harder, then try to put a nut on. Ta-da! Another thing you can do is push or pull the nuts and bolts across the table. So if you can get one on edge, you can roll it, or you can just try to push it. Now again, we had flicking or pushing objects in an earlier video. I want to make sure that you're giving it a little more oomph when you're doing this. This is the final stage of your recovery, and we want to get that big boom and that big push or flick or pull out of your fingers. No dilly-dallying with the little tiny ones. Get it. Get after it. Another thing that you can work on is pulling the nuts and bolts into your hand. So if you have some washers like this, you can pull them into your hand and then try to pick them up. And then the final stage actually could be flip your hand over while you have them. So not only are you working on translation or pulling objects into your palm and picking them up, but then you're working on supination or rotating your hand up. How else are you going to get a low five? Another thing you need to do is work on moving objects from your palm back to the tip of your fingers so that you can put them into jars or put them down, etc. So one way to do that is translating it back out. You can just push it, or you can manipulate it. Another thing you can do with nuts and bolts is try to work on the precision of your movement by turning the nut or the bolt up onto its edge. So for example, these are really small nuts, but if you have larger ones, it's going to be a little easier. Nonetheless, try to turn them up on their edge. You can do the same with the screws and bolts, as long as they have a flat edge and aren't rounded. Another thing you can do with nuts and bolts is work on different types of grasp. So, for instance, there's one called a key grasp, where you pinch something between the side of your index finger and your thumb, like if you're holding the key. Or you can do tip to tip, which is the pads of your fingers. Or you could try tripod, like you hold a pencil, using your index, your middle finger, and your thumb. Last but not least, you could try using all fingers to pick up an object. This works on opposition and using the tips of each one of your fingers simultaneously. One last thing you can do with nuts and bolts is work on picking them up and then putting them into a container. You can use a big container to make it easy, or you can use a really tiny one, like maybe the top of a pop bottle or something like that. Nonetheless, work on picking things up, getting them in your hand, then getting them back out to your fingertip and putting it into the container. Another thing you might have laying around your house are paper clips of all different sizes. You got these large mechanical ones, you've got the regular metal ones, maybe some powder coated ones, this funny little marker. Nonetheless, you can use them to help with your hand recovery. If you have some of these large clips lying around, that's perfect. Hopefully you have them in different sizes because each size is a different resistance. Nonetheless, there's a few things that you can do with this type of paper clip. You can fold back the arms of the paper clip or push them straight. You can squeeze these types of paper clips to work strength. So you could use your whole hand or try a different grip like a key grip. Or you can do individual fingers. Another thing you can do with paper clips is place them onto objects. So if you have a paper roll like this from toilet paper or from a paper towel, you can place the paper clips on the edge. Either holding the object while you do it with the other hand, or preferably, you place them with the hand that you need the most work. If you have a whole bunch of paper clips, you can sort them into piles. So I can pick one up. 1, 2, 3. You can switch up the numbers, switch up the size. You can break them up into different sizes. It doesn't matter. Challenge yourself. Another thing you can do with paper clips is place them onto objects like a pencil or a golf tee or maybe a string or a rope. For example, I thought of a pencil because it already has a point to make it a little easier for you to place it on there. Just put it on and then take it off. Or a golf tee. You can put it on and then put another one on and stack them up. And then work on taking them off as well. Oh, I got 2. Need to start over. 1, 2, 3. Another thing you can do is work on different types of grasp with using the paper clips. So for instance, you have key grip, which is the thumb against the side of your index finger, like holding a key. Pick it up, put it down. Pick it up, put it down. Or you can use tip to tip, the very tips of your fingers, or the pads of your fingers. You could use a tripod, like when you hold a pencil. You could use a whole hand grasp, just try to get as many things as you can. Another thing you want to do is work on manipulating the objects in your hand. So let's say we've got some out in my hand. Let's try to bring them in and then work them around in my hand. Maybe just flipping them around, tossing them, twisting them, it doesn't matter. Just get those fingers moving to work on your coordination. Another common object that people have around the house are a bunch of coins that are usually in a jar or a tin or a drawer. So with these, you can do a few exercises. You can do what we call translation, moving the object into your hand and then moving it back out. This allows you to remove objects from your hand, place them wherever you want. You can do 1, 2, 3, move them back out, move them in. You do this way as well, lay them down, go 1, put it up in your hand, hold it, 2, put it up in your hand and hold it, 3, put it up in your hand and hold it, and then one at a time, take it out of your hand. Another thing you can do is rotate a coin. So you could just spin it in one finger and spin it the other direction. Or you can try to spin it across all your fingers. One last thing you can do with the coins is make the coin go all the way to the tip of your finger and then back down to your palm, working each finger. Another thing that people usually have around their house are pencils, pens, and markers. And these are great for working on your hand too. And these fit also into a pocket if you have one. You take it anywhere and do it while you're waiting in line for something or for a meal, etc. One exercise with a pencil, pen, or marker is what we call translation, or pulling an object into your hand. You could do it with your hand up like this, pull the object in, or pull the object out, or flip it on like this and try to walk it in with your fingers. Another thing you can do with a pencil or pen or marker is pick it up and rotate it 180 degrees. So, or like this. Now I just did it with one finger and the thumb, but you can do it with 2, 3, or 4. Another thing you can do is climb up and down your pencil or pen or marker. Sort of like this. Or across. One other thing you can do with a pen, pencil, or marker is work on supination and pronation of your forearm. That is, turning your pen over one way or the other. So for instance, I could pick it up, rotate it, and get it out of my hand. Do that repetitively. Or you can combine these things to make it more challenging for yourself. For instance, I can shift the pencil across my hand, then supinate and shift it back out of my hand. Be creative and you're going to do great. Thank you for joining me today on learning stage 3 hand exercises using everyday items from around the house, like these things I found in my junk drawer. Please don't forget to click like, or if you don't want to miss any of our videos, subscribe to our channel or leave some comments and questions so we can get back to you. Because with Saebo, there is no plateau in sight.